What if you could invest in ETFs and pay zero tax on your profits? As a professional investor with 17 years of experience, I've invested hundreds of millions of euros in ETFs and their cousins, index funds. I've also spent months researching taxes in 34 European countries. In this video, I will show you the only places in Europe where you can pay literally zero tax on your ETF investments. Now, our enemy number one is capital gains tax. This is a tax that you pay when selling your ETFs at a profit. Enemy number two is distributions tax. You pay this tax when you get dividends from your ETFs. I'm going to start with a few runner-ups. These are countries which aren't 100% tax-free, but they are close enough to make them attractive. And to spice things up, for every country, I've carefully selected a mildly offensive stereotype. So if I'm wrong about your country, please tell me in the comments. First up, Belgium, the land of beer, waffles, and EU bureaucrats. As of today, Belgium has no capital gains tax on stock ETFs. Distributions like dividends do get taxed, but if you use so-called accumulating ETFs, which keep all dividends inside the ETF instead of paying them out, then you can invest virtually tax-free. Belgium is only a runner-up because as of 2026, a new 10% capital gains tax will be introduced. Plus, bond ETFs do already have a form of capital gains tax, and there is also a transaction tax which applies when buying and selling ETFs. That said, Belgian taxes for investors are quite low. Our second runner-up is Czechia, or the Czech Republic, the land of, well, also beer and Skoda cars. I love my Skoda. And did I mention cheap beer? In Czechia, you pay no capital gains tax if you hold an ETF for 3 years. There is just one catch. The total sale value of your investments should not exceed 40 million koruna in 1 year. That's around 1.6 million euros. So for regular people who use accumulating ETFs, you can basically invest tax-free. Next up is Hungary, the land of goulash, Rubik's Cubes, and picking fights with Brussels. Hungary has a nifty investment account called the TBSZ. The very easy to pronounce Tartos befektetési számla. Tartos befektetési számla. If you buy ETFs in this account and don't touch them for 5 years, you can invest tax-free. But there are significant downsides. If you withdraw early, you are not only taxed, you also have to pay social contributions. So that's why Hungary is only a runner-up. Another runner-up is Slovenia, the land of amazing honey, beautiful nature, and it's not Slovakia. I get it, guys. I live in Latvia, also known as it's not Lithuania. In Slovenia, patience is rewarded. The longer you hold an investment, the less capital gains tax you pay. If you buy accumulating ETFs and hold them for 15 plus years, you will invest tax-free. Now, 15 years is a long time, so that's why Slovenia just gets an honorary mention. Then we have Malta, the land of sunshine, churches, and traffic jams. Local Maltese do have to pay some taxes on their ETFs, but if you are an expat who is resident in Malta and not domiciled in Malta, meaning Malta is not your long-term home, then you can invest tax-free, as long as you buy accumulating ETFs which don't make any of their investments in Malta itself. The next runner-up is quite unexpected. It's actually a country most people associate with high taxes, Switzerland, the land of mountains, Toblerone, and shady bankers. I used to work for UBS, so I get to say that. In Switzerland, taxes on regular income are quite high. But for investors, life is pretty good because you pay no capital gains tax. On the downside, you do have to pay taxes on dividends, and that includes so-called deemed dividends, which are reinvested inside an accumulating fund. So that means ETF investors can't avoid tax completely, but Switzerland is still pretty great. And our final runner-up is none other than the land where breakfast isn't a meal, it's an act of bravery, the UK. Seriously though, I'd eat a full English every morning if my arteries could handle it. Investors in the UK can take advantage of a fantastic account called the ISA. This allows you to invest up to £20,000 every year entirely tax-free. This limit is generous enough that most regular people can invest in ETFs and grow their wealth without worrying about taxes at all. Now, before I reveal our winners, here's an important note. When you hear about places with no investing taxes, it's normal to feel a bit depressed or envious, especially if you live someplace with higher taxes, like Ireland or Denmark. That said, remember three things. First, comparison is the thief of joy. The grass is always greener on the other side, but in reality, your country probably has some really wonderful aspects that you love, while every country in this video has some drawbacks. Second, over the long term, investing is almost always much better than not investing. Don't let high taxes stop you from making your money work for you. That's just shooting yourself in the foot. And third, in virtually every single European country, there are things you can do to optimize your portfolio and reduce your taxes legally and ethically. I run a training program for ETF investors, which can help you figure this out. The link is in the description. Okay, but here are our winners, the top European countries for zero tax ETF investing. First up, we have the tiny Principality of Andorra, the land of YouTubers and duty-free everything. In Andorra, capital gains are tax-free, so investors in accumulating ETFs have nothing to pay. Next, we've got Bulgaria, the land of roses, yogurt, and nods for no, shakes for yes. Seriously, how do you guys not get confused? In Bulgaria, investors pay no capital gains tax if they buy ETFs traded on regulated stock exchanges based in Bulgaria, the European Union, or the European Economic Area. So, investors in accumulating ETFs can invest tax-free. Just make sure that your broker actually trades the ETF on a qualifying European stock exchange. Next up, Croatia. Okay, so I'm starting to run low on stereotypes. So let's go with the land of beach getaways, beautiful architecture, and Game of Thrones filming locations. Croatia is another paradise for patient investors. There are no capital gains taxes if you hold your ETF for at least 2 years. So long-term investors in accumulating funds invest tax-free. Then we've got Cyprus, the land of sunny days, crazy nightlife, and tax-evading expats. Cyprus has some of the friendliest tax residency rules for expats and digital nomads. And there are no capital gains taxes on ETFs, so you can invest in accumulating funds tax-free. Next up, Georgia, the land of wine, borjomi, khachapuri, hinkali, harcho, kubdari. Wait, was I supposed to make a joke? I think I'm getting Georgian for lunch today. Anyway, Georgia basically doesn't put any taxes on foreign funds like ETFs, so you can invest 100% tax-free. Then we've got Greece, the birthplace of democracy and the capital of bureaucracy, and the olives are great too. There are no taxes for Greek investors who choose so-called UCITS ETFs and index funds registered in a European Union or European Economic Area country. So that's amazing. Just make sure your chosen ETF qualifies. Next up, Luxembourg, home to 0.09% of Europe's population and 25% of Europe's ETFs. These guys know how to do finance, and it's a great place for investors. Hold your ETF for at least 6 months and you pay no capital gains tax. Now we have Slovakia, definitely not Slovenia, and a great place for mushroom hunting. It's also a great place for investors. If you hold the right kind of accumulating ETFs for at least 1 year, you pay no tax. But there are some technicalities. These ETFs need to have legal personality, or so-called pravna subjektivita, and they should be traded on a recognized stock exchange. So be careful where your broker buys your ETFs. Do everything right though, and you can invest 100% tax-free. Now, depending on where you live in Europe, it's not always possible to invest tax-free, but in most cases, you can reduce your investment taxes legally and ethically. In fact, getting your taxes right is just one of several fundamental investing skills which can make a big difference for European ETF investors. To find out more, check out the training I've got in the description of this video.